Scotch.
Oh man, this is not going to be good.
Yeah, your idea, mate. Your idea.
I know it was my idea.
Slange.
When are we going to go live?
We are live.
We are live. We are good.
Right. Start making words, Rikki.
Okay, let's go live soon. Let's go live soon.
No,
okay.
We are live.
We are live, you complete numbskull.
We're live.
Just going to have a quick nap.
Should we record the podcast, maybe?
Oh, do the intro music.
Right, apply sober mode.
So we're live, but you haven't confirmed whether or not there's anyone actually listening on the other end.
Or watching. There's 19 people now in.
Okay.
So we need to fuck up our ideas a little bit and get busy. Okay? Ready? Ready for your game?
Pretend we're sober.
Just tell me when we're live.
Okay. Well, we are live 2 minutes ago. So here we go. Ready for the actual show?
Okay.
Right, we'll see how this goes, okay? Welcome to the Scottish Watches podcast. This is our end of year review, and we're doing this extremely drunk and extremely live on YouTube. And we've got a whole load of people in the chat room. So this is going to work out exceptionally well or exceptionally bad. We all love a good train wreck, and yeah, we're going to have one tonight. So tonight we have Dave, Floatlight. How are you doing?
Drunk.
Good. How was your Christmas?
It was Christmas, wasn't it? It was all good, yeah. Not too bad. Too much alcohol.
Indeed.
Still too much alcohol. Bring me more alcohol. Okay,
we should do a wrist check, but we should also do a glass check.
Oh, yes.
More than one watch tonight. I want more than one drink tonight.
There's multiple drinks on the go.
We're going to need an hour.
Okay.
Right.
What is the drink, Dave?
Delirium.
Delirium.
Yeah,
delirium?
The filthy Belgian bastards come up with this invention, which is just like pink elephant juice. That's all you need to know.
Okay.
Cheers.
What part of the elephant do you extract the juice from?
We don't talk about that. You know, it's one of those things that that'll come out in an operation that the Met Police will name in the next 10 years.
Okay. Nice dainty holding of the glass as well. I'm quite liking that.
Like that. Hang on. How was that better?
Very nice. And on the wrists, what have you got there?
Well, I've gone at the opposite ends of the 2020 spectrum. So we've gone for shock and awe.
Oh, that thing. Yeah.
So
explain what that is for the listeners, not the viewers.
It's what is it? It's a G-Shock. Okay, yeah. It's a G-Shock, and it's got all the colours, and it's got everything on it, and it's truly horrific, and it's amazing at the same time.
Does it look better or worse with the glasses on?
Hang on. Fucking hell.
Are those your
glasses? Just
for the under 18 viewers.
It's a solid piece of horology. That's what that is. And then at the opposite end of the spectrum, we have gone relatively classy.
Is that a glass shoot?
Yeah, glass shoot, original in the 70s, and that has got one of the nicest integrated bracelets on the go at the moment.
Respect.
Very nice.
See, Jeremy Hunt. Quality.
That go is sick. I love those. I love the 70s range.
Playing to Ryan a little bit there, I believe, but hey, there we go.
Ryan,
what are you wearing?
I'm in a pair of nice jeans and a. I'm wearing Louis Vuitton. No, okay.
There's no chance you've got trousers on. There's not a chance you've got trousers on.
Are we doing drinking or wearing? Wearing. I have the. I have my Girard Perregaux chronograph, 1960s chronograph.
Very nice.
Which yeah, it's great. I haven't worn it in a little while, so I thought I'd pop it on. Interesting fact: those two subdials have nothing to do with the chronograph. It is a chronograph, but both the the chronograph seconds and minutes are on the central pinion, and so these two subdials on the 9 o'clock subdial, it's a 24-hour indication, and on the 3 o'clock subdial, it's running seconds. It looks cool. I like that layout, but I do think the 24-hour running indication is completely useless.
And what are you drinking?
Okay. So I have a Hendrix and elderflower tonic with freshly cut cucumber, and a sprinkling of peppercorns, crushed. For backup, I have a glass of Burgundy and a bottle to keep the glass full. And if I run out, I have this thing, which was
Cough medicine.
yeah, pretty much.
Ah,
But I'm not
Okay.
double wristing, so
Fair enough.
Yes.
And you've brought your other
Yes.
pieces with you
I
so that
do. I've
people
got
can
my
see
other
them.
pieces. Got my other pieces with me.
Good. Glad to hear it. Well, today's glass check is this stuff here. Dave, how do you pronounce this?
Ulna bien.
Okay, if you say so. And
There's
this
so
is a
many
gift.
more letters in that than
I
what
know,
you
it's
just said.
it's an eye chart, isn't it?
How
this
come
was a
Dave
gift.
knew how to pronounce that? Where is it from?
Pronounce it. Pronounce it. Okay. Okay.
Because he's
okay.
not
How do you
Get with-
pronounce? How do you
get with the
pronounce
program
pronounce?
author. Yeah.
Sorry, Ricky, we're interrupting. Tell us what you're drinking.
You
Ricky,
are.
what are you drinking?
I'm drinking whatever Dave said this is. And I got this from Robin at Morrick's Grotsman earlier on this year because I was helping him out with some web stuff and he just wasn't getting it. And he was trying my patience. And to make up for it, he sent me some whiskey. So thanks, Robin.
Are you drinking
Is
it
that the
straight?
Straight with Diet Coke.
Oh,
Okay,
you
straight-
filthy
straight-
animal!
straight with
utter Neanderthal.
Do you think I care? Not in the slightest. And the wrist
Dirty
check
water
for
mixed with
today
Coke.
is equally as
Oh,
hideous.
it's your old Tudor.
It's the shooter.
Tudor.
So it's
It's your
the
shooter.
shooter Fast Rider Black Shield. ETA 7753 chronograph, yada yada, 150 meters water resistant chronograph. Dave, do you
Ducati.
understand?
Did you say Ducati?
Ducati?
Ducati.
Ceramic?
Ducati.
Yeah, Ducati. So there we go. So we're going to do a review of the year.
Okay.
Apparently.
Just tell us when we're live. Tell us when we're live.
Yeah.
You
okay,
pressed
I'll let
record.
you know.
Anyone pressed record?
We've pressed record. We have pressed
Okay,
record.
3.
And we have got about 45 people wondering what the hell they are doing tonight. Got to be careful with the words because we're recording a podcast as well.
And we're live.
Yeah. And we're being very, very careful. Dan is in the room. Massive Clock. SoCal Watch Review. Alex NG. William Rizzo. Loads of folks. Now, Ryan, you had an idea of asking people for questions and such. Is this still a good idea or is this a bad idea?
Throw the questions out there and you can be the arbiter of whether or not to ask us the questions, to whether or not to throw them on the virtual table.
Okay. Fair enough. We'll do that.
I say.
So you heard them, guys. If you want to say things, see things, get answers to questions, we shall see what we can do.
But not all things.
Not all things. We'll be careful. We'll be curating.
Yeah, and definitely don't ask questions. Don't ask questions you don't want to know the answer to.
Yeah,
because
don't ask what
this could
Dave
go
is
horribly
wearing below
wrong.
his waist.
This is going to go horribly wrong. Don't worry. So I think the first thing we should do is a quick recap of our watches. So
Indeed.
what watches have we managed to acquire this year? Ryan, have you managed to acquire any new watches or are you just running on last year's promises and dreams?
Yeah, just like my book. I'm still promoting a book that was published a century ago.
Book? Can I see just
this whole thing?
I
Sat in the back.
That's really weird. Do you know that's so funny that it's actually in shot for this?
Oh, put it back because it's blocking the draft coming through the window.
I always keep this this copy there, and it's just sort of it's crazy that it's crazy.
So this is the hand job wrist book.
Close. That's the. You've just given away my second book idea.
That's the second book.
A little bit. We agreed we weren't going to discuss that, but fortunately we're not live yet, so we'll just.
So good.
Sorry, what was the question?
I was asking if that was your book.
No. I answered that question. You were interrupting my answer to the question before. What was it? Something to do with acquiring watches
or acquire any watches this year?
I did acquire a Christmas watch. So I got my 3 watches, but it's hard to call this thing a watch. And look, I just want to preface this whole reveal by saying that this is a sports watch for running, and it
There's been a lot of reveals recently. But we'll continue on. Yeah,
it replaces a literal computer that I was strapping to my wrist until very recently. So I've got this is an Apple Watch. It's made by Apple, who are the telephone company that make smart telephones. This is actually a smart watch. And, if you ask me, this is quite a big deal. And I'm surprised that there hasn't been a lot of chat about these things before. They're quite revolutionary. I'm wearing it for exercise only. I do want to make that extremely clear. But actually, on a serious note, it's a really fantastic piece of kit for going out on a run. You can leave the phone behind, have some wireless earbuds in, and it's a really great tool. It makes me laugh to think about what I was running with just a few weeks ago before I picked this thing up. That's it.
That's it. One watch. That's all you brought to the table. One new watch.
No, I've got other watches, but they're the ones that I always talk about.
Yeah, but we're going to look at them later. They don't count.
Cool.
Dave, how many watches this year? How many?
Yes.
All of them.
You're trying to convince me to give a number, aren't you? No, that's not going to happen.
So what's your Moser?
Did you bring any?
Let's just get the Moser out, for God's sake.
Dave, in the last month, how many watches?
Yes. Okay, so this year, what we had this year, I need to think of this. So we've already seen this. We've had G-Shock.
We have.
This year.
Yep.
We've had.
When's the limited edition G-Shock coming out?
My limited edition. Oh, I've no idea what you're talking about. Our one, really? Oh, same as Ryan.
Hey.
Hey. And I agree with you. Sadly, I've got every generation, and I love them, but everyone knows that already. That's the one watch I wear the most often out of everything that I've got.
You're listening to the Scottish Apple Watch show.
Indeed. We talked about this before, Accutron.
Oh, yeah. There's a video out in that one.
Yeah, super cool little piece that. Yeah, that is cracking. Really, cool. Really love it.
That's the new Accutron with the electrostatic movement that we've got a video with Simon from James Portland's online.
World Timer.
What one's that? DLC?
That's the
Omega World Timer. One of the most pointless things that you could possibly have in 2020, but hey.
Yeah, completely. These are all, by the way, these are all watches you have bought in this calendar year. Unbelievable. Is this guy like a hedge fund manager or something?
3, 2, 1.
He's a dealer of some description.
Sweet.
3, 2, 1. What else have we got? And then we'll go with the Roll of Destiny.
Is that a Red Bar Wolf watch box thing?
This is indeed a Red Bar watch roll from Wolf.
Getting the adverts in quick, Dave. Well done.
Get them in quick.
We had the book, we had Red Bar.
We have possibly the 3 PCs.
Yeah. Man, you went for it this year, didn't you?
Yeah.
Ball deep.
Right, so we've got the Moser Green Dragon on the left. We've got the Oyster Perpetual. That is, what colour would you call that?
I call it Emergency Orange, but I think it's called Coral Red, isn't it?
Rod Orange.
Dino Rod Orange.
It's the Tabasco that you take the oyster
with. This one has very kindly been put onto a Jubilee.
Oh, that looks better than the Jubilee.
Well, indeed it does. And wrong way around.
Yep.
The
Snipster.
Is that the new?
There we go.
Nice.
That is indeed, yes.
Wow.
That is indeed.
Jeez,
so there we go.
Creepers.
That's a mic drop. It's going to be hard.
Rikki, what have you got?
Rikki, tell us, Rikki.
Shit. Right. Well, I've got absolute dog shit here. So I've got a cheap quartz Timex. Got this as my kind of entry to lockdown, hoping that this will be the shit watch. I'll get better ones during the year, and then I ended up with a cheap quartz Timex.
Oh, that's a piece.
That
is a great looking piece. That I don't care what anyone says. I know folk love to hate in Hodinkee, but that's a clean piece. That I actually really like it. I think it's a great looking watch for the money. Ryan, wind your neck in, man. Ryan, don't say it. Get with the program, son. Get with the program.
What did I get this year? I got some really horrific G-Shocks. These are the limited edition 25th anniversary of the 6900 series. So I got 2 of the abominations here.
The gold one.
They are excellent. They are
G3PO.
Excellent.
That's good.
It is pretty cool. It's actually pretty good for the gym as well because the buttons, although they're massive.
So no one got the John Mayer. Where's the John Mayer one?
Don't have that. It's not right yet. What other shit did I get? Did you hear the story of me going to TK Maxx and buying this monster?
What is going on here? What is happening?
Wow.
What is this?
Wow.
Rikki, we're live. We are live.
We're live, but we're drunk, so we can get away with it. The only good piece, well, there's a couple of them. I got some freebies sent to us that they didn't want back because it costs more money for us to send the shit back than it does for them to like repurpose them, repackage them, sell them again. So that's a Spinnaker, right? Which was actually quite half decent.
Better.
And then this one was pretty cool. This is from Matthew and Son in Australia. And this has got a thistle on the back.
Is that a thistle or a thistle?
Thistle.
A thistle
with an F, two Fs.
A thistle with 2 Fs.
And that is it. And the only watch, let me see,
you purchased
sort of
an only watch.
The only high spec watch I bought this year is this guy.
Hey.
So I didn't have a green watch.
That's a solid piece, that.
Yeah, green came out this year, didn't it? Green.
Yeah. This one's limited. I think it's 1,500 pieces, something like that. Hanging edition. Oris Aquas date. Yep, and it's got the kind of roulette.
That's the one with the bigger case, isn't it? The Aquas with the bigger case.
Yeah, it's a 43.
Yeah, that's a cool looking piece.
I
do like
my
that.
favourite of the year. Had tons. And the thing is, we got so many watches sent in this year that there was no point buying watches. Well, there was no shops open, but there was no point buying them because we get so many in for review that. Like
I've heard you talk about this, Ricky, and I'm completely with you. This is why when I wrote since writing the book and the whole experience.
What's the name of the book you wrote?
Oh, it's it's interesting you should ask that because
that one.
It's called the Wristwatch Handbook. And when I was writing the Wristwatch Handbook, which is available in Amazon and bricks and mortar stores as well. No, we need to be careful with visual gags, Ricky, because this is going to be a podcast. But you were just reading what is that? A Yoda book?
I got this for Christmas. It's a Baby Yoda notebook.
I'm all ears. That's cute.
That's one thing he's never been described as is cute.
But no, in all seriousness, in recent years, I've been able to get in contact with some serious watches, and in doing that, it does tap into that same part of your brain. Not exactly the same part, because there is that kind of whole experience of opening your own brand new shiny thing, but handling a high-end piece of machinery and then jumping onto the next, just sort of tapping into that same dopamine channel. And I think it does just make it a little easier. Well, it makes it easier for me not to buy a watch, but you've just shown us like 50 watches, including stuff that's like sitting there on the counter at TK Maxx for 10 quid.
That was a joke purchase.
What's going on? Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the question then, Ryan. What watch what did you not buy this year that either you would like to at some point or wish you had got this year?
Wish I had got. Are we talking?
If all things had been equal.
Are we talking realistic or?
You want to see one of my cool Christmas gifts?
Go on.
What even is that?
Yep. That's a word that you can't use on YouTube or you'll get the channel banned again.
Oh no! I know. I can see what that is.
Please do a live unboxing and
Richard.
Taste profile on that one. What are the top notes like on that one?
Fish and cheese.
Jesus Christ! You went there. I can't believe you just went straight for the jugular.
Everybody listening to this right now, everybody
that bit gets
bring the
cut
children
out.
around. Bring the children around. Everyone
That's
get
just for the
grandma.
video.
Bring the family around the computer.
So everyone knows this is the nativity scene.
Yeah. Sorry, Ryan. You were talking about watches or something.
I don't know. What was it? Which watch would I buy? It's interesting because I did a little bit of research in terms of watches that were released this year, and I didn't consciously acknowledge this when I was doing it, but every single one is just ridiculously expensive. There's not a single watch in this list that I have that I could consider realistically having bought this year. One of them might be an end game watch in my life, but I don't know, when I look at this list.
Get with the program, Ryan. I'm sobering up, man. Come on, just spit it out.
I feel drawn to
there's a point. Get to it.
Ferdinand Bertode FB2 RE. That chronometer with which is clean as hell on the front. But on the back, the view of the movement is just tremendous, and This isn't going to work as a podcast.
It will. Through the magic of editing, it will.
It should be a visual podcast.
My inability to use the two words that I'm not allowed to use in this is just being challenged greatly.
Yeah, what have you got left to say, Dave, without being able to say the F and the C words? What have you got?
Not very much, frankly.
Hello, how are you?
Well,
Fancy meeting
should
you
we
here.
start to review the year? Would that be an idea?
Let's do that.
Okay, so I went through our post on Instagram because that's a diary of what's happened this year, what things we've covered and what things we've actually thought about. And it all started at the beginning of 2020, before we knew about eating bats and all that kind of shit. And I was coming back from a trip with Adrian to JLC over in Switzerland.
Would that be the trip where you had to remind him about where he was going on his own trip?
Yeah, he thought it was a Wednesday we were flying out. It was the Tuesday we were flying out. So I helped that work by telling him that he got his days wrong. Anyway, it was a good trip. Really enjoyed it. Lots of fun. Minus 20 odd degrees over it was over there. And I edited a podcast up that we recorded in December, put it out at the start of January. And that was a drunk podcast. Are you okay there, Ryan? Are you with us?
I'm absolutely fine. Carry on.
Great. Fantastic. So that episode went out, and that was our first drunk recording that turned into a podcast. Soon to be repeated nearly 12 months later. Today, yeah. So that was good. Next up, we had a video we put online with Dave, that's here today, obviously, and it was his Joker watch. We'd recorded that about a month before, and that went out and caused quite a stir. Pietro got quite a lot of interest at the limited edition in that piece, even though it's not available anymore. And I think he managed to secure a couple of unworn returns from people. Obviously, they got some good money for it, and he passed them on to other folks. But how are you enjoying the Joker watches this year? Because there's been a few more releases, isn't there, Dave?
It has, yes, indeed. There was one. There's been a few this year, actually. One just this month, and I'm trying to think.
What happened with the Dracula one?
They start to come. Actually, it was funny. I was talking to Pietro about that by text a couple of days ago. Yeah, just before Christmas, and he was saying that they've been going pretty well. I think the first batch potentially are sold. And right. I think the first ones are due. I think they were always planned for kind of the early part of 21 for the first few to come through. So yeah, hopefully in the next, 2 or 3 months, we'll start seeing them filter onto the market and stuff.
Is this Chaikin we're talking about?
Yeah. And he launched the Santa one. This one?
I saw that.
This
one.
Was
so cool.
That was so cool. I think it was only 3 pieces, wasn't it? And then earlier in the year, what did he do earlier this year? Actually, I'm trying to think. There was something else. There was. Yeah, it was. Oh Christ, I've lost track of time. Was it this year? Was it this year's only watch that there was one in? Wasn't that? Yeah, I'm sure that was still this year.
The Monaco one, wasn't it? The year before.
I think that was the year before this year.
The selfie.
So the selfie. Yeah, was that last year? That was last year, wasn't it? 2019.
Yeah, I think so. There's no way that happened this year.
Christ, I have no idea. I've lost track of time.
Anyway, that happened.
Days and weeks.
We'll edit all of that. It's going to be fine.
You'll sound like a superstar again. Don't worry.
Yeah, just make it crisp.
Yeah, it'll fly through their eardrums, don't you worry. So we did that. We had the Brosnan era Omega Speedmaster video with you again, Dave. You were quite popular this year, that's why you're here today. We had Ed from Moser on the show the day that the Streamliner launched, which was a bit of a coup. He was a very busy dude, but he came on and he spent over an hour speaking to me and Rick didn't interrupt him too much, thankfully, so that was fine. We had our first live recording, which we did at the Red Bar event in March, and that was a combination talk show filming day and podcast day. And did we drink? I wasn't drinking that night, but it was still funny.
It was.
A live studio audience. There was about 60 odd folks there. You brought a whole load of people from Red Bar London up. They enjoyed themselves immensely. Pietro was there. Adrian from Bark and Jack, he was a part of it. Simon from James Port and Son, and Rick was there. And it was a good laugh. And we only had to delete a few of the really bad jokes that I nearly mentioned the name of. One of them just now, and remember we're live.
Yeah. No.
Babysitting in Portugal. Not a good idea.
You can't edit live, Ricky. You can't edit live.
So I'm being very, very careful how we're getting on with things today. So we did that. That was a really good day. That was the last, as we mentioned, last Red Bar event in the UK just before the first lockdown that we thought, 15 days to flatten the curve. That'll be good.
Yeah.
How did that work out for everybody?
And the virus was,
days later.
The virus was defeated, and life went back to normal. And it was a pretty fantastic rest of the year, as far as I can recall.
Summer was, like the summer of '69, as Brian Adams said. It was just glorious.
Hard to believe there was a pandemic back then. Hard to believe it.
I know. Who'd have known 2 pandemics in 1 year? Who'd have known it?
Shocking. And now we've got pandemic. What is this new one? It's Coronavirus Pro S Max that's just come out. So
Coronavirus 11 Pro.
There's no
available in the UK.
It's the same as last time, but you pay $200 more for it.
Currently in the UK, but coming to you very soon.
Yes.
Coming to France in a truck near you.
Oh, man. So, this was the year that we'd planned to do a whole load of videos with different brands, different collectors, lots of talk show editions, and we only managed to get 2 days worth of recording, but we crammed a lot in. We had Pietro, like we said, we had Dave, we had Adrian, a couple of collectors, Moritz Grotzman were across, guys at Orange were across, James Portenson were over. That was the good part. And then, obviously, things kind of went downhill a little bit. Hodinkee put an article out about the Casio. They didn't tell people where the name came from, and the people wanted to set the record straight, so they did. And there was an amend, but from that we managed to get an interview with Cole. He came on the show after much peer pressure and social media wranglings from Rick, because he's quite good at overthrowing governments and fixing votes, apparently. So that was fun. We had Jenny L on the show for episode 118. That was a decent show because Rick didn't get a chance to speak. Jenny explained about her YouTube channel, all the stuff that she's doing, and this year she has really taken things and ran with it. Massive amount of view count on YouTube, lots of subscribers, puts us all to shame with her video quality and her upbeat, motivating outlook on life that we don't really have. So what would you say the start of the year was for you guys? What would you say are the highlights?
I'll go first, I suppose. I don't know what were the highlights. So started the year funnily enough in January, because that's usually the month you start a year. I'm feeling pretty upbeat about things because, well, that's a good point. Well, yeah, good point. Well made. Now you've confused me. What was I thinking about?
Ryan is
January.
Relaxing.
Feels so right.
Look at him.
It's easy. It's easy to relax like that when you've got no trousers or for pants for our American friends on. Then it's easy to relax like that.
Yeah, the Southern Hemisphere version of this podcast is not going to be attractive. Certainly I started the year on a pretty upbeat, positive mode, I suppose, from the point of view of the Red Bar Global this year was planned to be in London. So there was for the first couple of months, there was a lot of kind of thoughts and planning and decisions been made about what we would want to be doing come late summer in terms of what was happening. So that was all upbeat. And then obviously, as you kind of mentioned, we had the big kind of live recording stroke Red Bar meet in Glasgow in March, where a few of the guys from London came up. That was kind of, I suppose I'd come off the back of a week with Kathleen, where we were kind of organising or trying to think about things, planning things out for the global. And then suddenly what initially had been a little problem in China suddenly became a big problem everywhere. And did you postpone it once or twice?
Yeah.
When was it originally supposed to be?
Okay, right, I'm drunk, so I need to think about this. Give me a second to
roughly
compute
within
here.
a 6-month window.
2020. Okay, that's probably September, was it? Yeah, it was
September.
Can
we get that fact checked, please?
Yeah. Twitter's just removed my blue tick. It was September, and that was kind of the idea behind it. And pretty much everything was either planned or beginning to fall into place. Then, of course, this kicked off. I suppose, like Rikki said, the initial thought for everyone was, what's it going to be? A few weeks, a few months, and then it'll all be over and everyone will go back to normal. And that didn't happen. We made a call, I think, to make a decision. I think it was around about July, August time, and kind of solid pair of socks there. We made the decision to make a call July, August time, and come on, just slide your book in while you're at it, get it over.
I was going to do it, but I just think this is already going to be a really, really crappy experience for the podcasters rather than the video streamers.
And yes, we made a call to make a decision then. We made the call because it wasn't going to happen, and then it became a virtual event. and we'd 2 provisional dates for 21. I think first one was potentially kind of Mayish time, and a second backup of September. I don't know yet for sure. Obviously, that's ultimately for Kathleen and Adam and that to make a call, and James to make a call. But I think May is going to be a stretch, would be my gut reaction. But September,
easy.
All the hands, who knows? But maybe, hopefully, would like to think so. But hey, time will tell. And then the summer,
Anyway.
there's been no events at all right through the summer because we couldn't meet in person. But there's been loads of kind of virtual stuff, whether it was virtual events with brands or with different people within the industry and all sorts of stuff, which kind of went really well. Had a bit of a gap recently because we're conscious that you can get zoomed out pretty easily. I think nobody understood what Zoom was at the start of this lockdown. Oh no, don't swear, David. What was that? What was that, Rikki? Bring that back.
For the listeners, that was Baby Yoda with a Christmas hat, holding.
Wow, with no pants on.
What's he holding?
Solid. Don't know, but I'm pretty sure Operation Utree are going to have something to say about that. And then
what was the shittest thing for Christmas that you guys got? Was it a mail merged document with your name on it and a Christmas pudding instead of a watch?
What was that? Lindverden.
Dear insert name here. Thank you for your support during the year. Anyway, you finished talking about Red Bar
We
yet,
hope
Dave?
you enjoy your insertfestiveperiod.com.
I'm a talk. Aye. So stuff. Christmas, yada, 21, more drink.
Does anyone want to see my T-shirt yet?
Yeah. Right,
oh, so do the T-shirt reveal.
Do the T-shirt,
but also do audio caption, closed captions or whatever it is.
There are 66 people watching this train wreck.
Jesus Christ! How did we manage that?
So.
That's Rick spotting.
If anybody has seen Rick with his head down a toilet in an Edinburgh pub, please report him to any relevant authorities.
Yes. Right. Well done, Dave. You can shop now.
T-shirt.
So other things that happened at the start of the year, the Horology House scandal, which was a guy that was really good at making really awesome macro videos on all kinds of stuff. Built up a good reputation, ran lots of groups and forums on the internet, on Facebook, and got caught selling dodgy Daytonas. We managed to get a hold of one of the victims. It was a victim that actually went live on the Rolex forum with a post explaining what had happened. And everybody was like, oh, no, Chris is such a great guy. He makes great videos, as if that means anything at all. And we got this gentleman on the show, record a full hour with him. And that episode was one of our biggest hits of the year because no one was really going to the source. No one was doing what a reporter or a journalist would actually do.
Yeah, that was a crack. That was the guy who'd been scammed, right? I remember listening to that. Was a cracking episode. I can't believe that was this year. If you've not heard
that one, go back and check it out because it is really good. Me and Rick ask him lots of questions, and people were thinking you're a bit stupid for buying something off the internet without any proof of what it is or who the guy is. Anyone could have been suckered into this. You know?
Absolutely, it happens all the time. It happens all the time.
I wouldn't have been because I don't buy watches. So
this is true. You just steal them, but yeah, the shoe's on the other foot with you, Ryan. So that happened. We had Mark from the Watches TV. He came on, did an episode with us. Nice socks.
Thank you so much.
Nice socks. Not quite as good.
For the benefit of the listeners, these are some great socks.
Oh, no, these are some great socks.
Speaking of socks, hello, ladies.
I'll show you my socks, but if I get my sock up to my screen, there's half a chance I'm going to knock myself out because I'm standing up. I'm going to get a go.
Listen for the cracks.
That's the wrong one. That's the wrong one.
Listen for the tendons.
Let's think of this. Right, we're ready for this. Jesus Christ, David. Oh shit! Nah, can I get it high enough? Can I get it up?
This is live Scottish Watches, everybody.
Thank you. Lots of stuff to edit out of the show. Where do we go from there? As I said, Mark from the Watches TV, he came on, did an episode. We talked about his video production things he's done at Basel. From there, I'm not going to read that out because we could get sued for it. Next one, Andrew from Time and Tide over in Australia. He did a show with us. Great guy. Turns out his grandfather is from Glasgow here in Scotland. Lived above Glasgow's biggest sweetie shop. Still haven't found out the name of it and gone to visit, but we do believe him. We recorded, as I say, episode 128 at Red Bar in front of a live audience, a bit like here just now on YouTube. And then I bought that Timex, that really, really shitty Timex. This one here to mark the worst of days as we went into lockdown.
Right.
Hey, Rikki, can we just rewind quickly? Can we go back to the bit about you getting sued? Can we just zoom in on that?
Can we elaborate on that?
No.
Yeah. Can we
Not quite
expand
drunk
that
enough
topic?
to repeat that. We'll keep
we're
that
gonna
as
come back. Dave, let's
potentially
come
going
back
in
to
later
that.
on.
Remember, we'll come
But the
back to that.
best thing that
I'll
happened in
signal
Ryan's
like this.
life, the best thing that happened in Ryan's life happened after that. And it was a guy called Petros Protopapis
Right,
from
boys
Omega,
book.
went on Instagram Live.
Yeah, so good.
That was
And the rest was
comedy.
history.
That was comedy gold.
That
Comedy
was
gold.
the best.
Would you stop posting, please?
Please stop commenting.
Hello?
Anybody's comment.
I am
want to
trying
be-
to look for. Yes, I appreciate.
Robert, are you
Yes,
there?
thank you for the hearts. I see all of your hearts. This is all very good. Will you please, RJ?
This is a very important Brandon channel.
And I will say again, RJ.
Oh, wow. So that happened. If you want to see what we're talking about, check the show notes for the 15th time this year, because it is gold, absolute comedy gold.
That's the best thing. Let's just finish this. That's the best thing.
End it there. The
Done.
guys at James Port & Son got a feature on Hodinkee. Thanks to Cole, they did a sort of feature on a couple of different watch shops, one in America, one here in the UK, and it was those guys near Gale Arcade, so you can check that out. Rick might put something in the show notes, or it might be down to me or Dave, who knows. We got Cole from Hodinkee on the show after that, and then we got Jody from Just One More Watch. Great YouTuber, great channel. If you're looking for cheap G-Shocks and Casios and things like that, he gets his dollar dazzlers from AliExpress. Lots of cool content there. And then we were well into the thick of things with lockdown 1.0. What were you guys up to back in March, April time?
Nothing to do with watches, I can tell you that. It was
March, April.
just bonkers. I mean, it was just a case. I just recovered from COVID myself.
Really? Are you taking the piss?
No, I got it. I got it for real.
You sure COVID wasn't recovering from Ryan?
I like it. It's good. I legit caught it, and I was just recovering, and immediately after and just before the full lockdown, I moved house, and I didn't even have a bed. And simultaneously for my company, which is a global company, I took responsibility for nope, for coordinating the crisis management efforts. So really, it got to sort of like May time, and I realized I'd barely been even winding my watches, let alone putting them on.
Ryan, I heard the words global company taking responsibility for COVID management. So basically what you're saying is that it's you that we've got to blame for this carrying on until December.
Yeah, actually, it was Horology House that was responsible for it. He thought, because we'd fully forgotten about that until
we had. Let's blame him.
So let's just put one and two together, okay,
and come up with 5.
Yep.
What's this?
I'm not saying he did it. I'm just saying it's interesting, the timing of it.
Okay, I believe you.
Okay, Dave, what were you doing? With both hands.
Yeah, can you get? Yeah, good. Keep them up there.
What we're talking about? April, May time. We're talking about April, May. Actually, yeah, like Ryan, work-wise was absolutely pandemonium at that point. As some folk will know, I work with in the bicycle industry, and it went absolutely mental. That's the only way to describe it. It just went absolutely mental. So for that, after 25 plus years in the industry, it's the busiest I have ever known it. Whether it was post Olympics or anything else, it was one of the few things people could do. You could go outside, you could go walking, or you could ride your bike, and it went nuts. And it was a paradigm within the industry that I don't think we'll ever see again. And it went absolutely mental. So yeah, for 2 or 3 months, that's all I kind of was involved in. Absolutely.
Would you say, you've been 25 years, would you say you never forget how to work in the bicycle industry?
I need to learn how to do it first, mate. Come on, give it a chance. It's like it's a lifetime of experience to work it. Oh, that's how you do it. Oh, I'm dead.
Nice. from there, we had Barbara Palumbo on our first piece of media, and she was a bit apprehensive of getting involved, but she came on Instagram Live with me, and that kind of opened the floodgates for all the crazy shit we got up to this year. And that Instagram Live is still online.
I love the way love the fact you've used Barbara Palumbo in the word, but everything went crazy in the same kind of paragraph.
Yep. She would not dispute this. So that was good. We did lots of podcasts from there. We've done all kinds of stuff. We did an Instagram Live for Dubai Watch Week just about a month ago there, 3 weeks ago. That was great. Mont Blanc brought out a watch, forgot to put a country on it, Dave. What happened there?
Okay. You're asking me questions when I'm drunk. That's always a challenge.
They forgot the UK existed, something like that.
Oh, that's right. That was right. Was that on the Geosphere?
Yep.
Yeah, the Geosphere.
The UK's not on it?
No, yeah, Brexit. We're going to blame Brexit. Due to Brexit, Britain
this is the kind of story, though, that leads to a priceless watch. That's the kind of story.
Exactly. But,
buy one now.
That was good. Then we had Victoria from the New York Times, Rob Report, and GCK magazine. She put together an article that went out in May this year, although she'd been researching it for a while, about the top watch podcasts. Well done, Dave. And we managed to somehow sneak in there. So we brought her onto the show to talk about her career, things that were happening in the media, and obviously it was around about COVID time as well, so she managed to give us an insight into what was happening with magazines and such and such. We dropped the Constantine Shaker Night Joker video, and we also got through this wee watch that I mentioned earlier with the thistle in the back from MAS, Matthew and Sons, over in Australia. Trying to think what else. We had RJ from Fratello Watch. He came on and did an episode and told us about buying a BMW that when he sold it and he was checking it, he found drug bags in the back of it or something. Do you remember that episode? Found.
Dave, that's concerning how little is left of that 14% beer. That's concerning.
Dave, do you want to refill while I talk shit? Cool. I
wasn't actually thinking refill terms. I was thinking how concerning it is how much he's already had.
Yeah, but it's like 14% or something. It's shit.
True. I suppose this is definitely stronger than 14.
Of course. From there, we had a talk show, as I said, with Moritz Grotzman. That went live because we started to space out things due to COVID. Dave did a podcast about G-Shocks, which was actually pretty well received. And on the back of that, we get sent some prototypes from Casio G-Shock in the UK. It was the first time they'd produced fitness trackers, and we got our grubby little hands on them. And they're the only company that has ever sent us watches to test and review and give them free publicity that then asked us to pay for the return postage. Thanks, G-Shock UK.
Wait, hang on a minute. This is the first year
that £4.26 is going to be cast up on them for the next
£8.29.
This is the first year that G-Shock have made a fitness tracker.
Yep.
I mean,
as a dedicated fitness tracker, I think it was, because they have done like a couple. I think they've done a couple of smartwatches, that record steps and stuff, but they've never really been marketed as like a fitness watch. This is their first kind of, I suppose. It's not big. It wasn't big money, was it, Rikki?
No, 150 to 300, depending if you wanted the heart rate monitor and things.
I mean, what are they doing? What are they doing? We'll talk about slow. This should be. They're a decade late.
Tell me about it. Yep.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Unbelievable. They had their finger on the pulse of the tech watch world.
Finger on the pulse. This is why you're allowed to write books.
That's it.
What did I say?
In 100 years, you can
finger on the pulse.
You can join in with Ryan. So from there, Dave came on and did an Omega Pro Prof video. That's on YouTube just now. It was actually quite a good one. That's a watch that I'd seen in person at the Omega Boutique in Geneva Airport a couple of years ago, and it was just too goddamn big.
The monster.
Since you've got bay wrists, I'm wondering how you get away with it, Dave.
I'm just more slightly disturbed by the fact that every time you mentioned my name, you used the word it was quite good, as if this is some kind of surprise to you.
Yeah, I'm picking up on that as well. And Dave didn't completely screw up that podcast that he kept, which was weird.
which was most disappointing.
Surprisingly not awful.
I'm going to make up for it in this one, don't worry.
We had a video with Gordy that we recorded quite some time ago with his Zenith Defy 21 El Primero.
Ooh, a cracking watch.
That wasn't
Yeah.
Carbon, that was the ceramic one that he's got. Great watch, great guy. He's been to loads of events. We've met him at. He invited me out shotgun shooting as well before lockdown and stuff like that. So great guy, retired, lots of time for watches, lots of time. What are you doing, Dave? Dave, what's
those are shooting glasses? This is the right time. This is correct.
Is that to protect your eyes when someone shoots in your face?
Ooh,
nice, like it. We brought Barbara on for our first podcast episode. We had broken her in gently with Instagram Live, so we brought her on and did a show. That was really good. That was episode 149. From there, how can we top Barbara? Well, maybe Jack Forster, who knows? So we brought Jack Forster on for episode 150. He's a great guy, fantastic stories, doesn't know how to use Instagram, apparently. But apart from that, really, really good. An episode to go back and check. Episode 100 was Tim Mossel last year. That's another cracker. Episode 50 was Archie Luxury, and we'll get to episode 200 later on. Did a video with Sarpaneva and Corum with Pietro from the Limited Edition. That went out. Then we did a show podcast with the Miles brothers. That's Bruno and Andy. They explained how they build a micro brand, how they release watches, because a lot of people think it's easy and they don't understand all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, the prototyping. It's not like you create a watch, you release a watch. There's all the stuff in between, and they went into great detail about that. We tried to do a 10,000 follower giveaway on Instagram. And good friend Omer from Half Watch Tuesday decided to derail the competition. Instead of writing a nice comment and entering the competition like everybody else, he wrote a really nasty, horrible comment. That wasn't that bad. And unfortunately, the random comment picker picked him. We were so elated that it was someone from the UK, because it was a UK-only competition, that we were like, yeah, Humping Jalapeno has won. And it turned out no, because he hadn't answered the question properly. And it took us until December to redo the thing. We did it on Instagram Live a week ago there. And the guy that won it is very happy, and we're going to repost his pictures. So coming up towards summer, what were you guys doing then?
Wow, that was just the first half? You guys have been busy.
We have.
It's quite impressive. Making me feel really lazy. I don't have quite as lengthy a list.
Did you change arms?
Yep, fitness tracker.
Oh,
so
June.
What was going on? Well, June was my birthday. I was still in lockdown. I think I was starting to wear watches again, starting to believe in life after the pandemic again. In fact, the whole summer period was pretty damn decent. We got we had really cracking weather. I think everyone was behaving relatively appropriately. People had kind of adjusted their methods of communication, and I think that we were connecting more as human beings. So yeah, June was a nice time. The whole summer was a pretty decent summer, apart from my holidays that got cancelled.
I meant about watches.
Oh yeah, there was so many watches, God, you know, like there were like digital watches and chronographs. Oh,
sundials, water clocks.
Such a great summer for watches. Needless to say. Dave, what about you?
Don't be palming off your uselessness and me, mate.
I didn't know we had to do this by season.
What? Someone's come into the YouTube comments under the name Nicola Sturgeon.
We're not.
But what's the difference between that and actually Nicola Sturgeon coming on? How do you? It's interesting that you assume somebody's pretending to be her. This is Scottish Watches. We're live.
Yep.
It's probably Nicola Sturgeon.
Because the police aren't at your door for not wearing a mask yet, so it's definitely no Nicola.
Yeah,
what did I do in summer?
Watches. What summertime? What happened?
Summertime. Actually, it was a pretty lean time, to be honest. I think that was that point, wasn't it, where a lot of the brands had come out of the kind of proper lockdown, the first initial lockdown, where certainly European-wide, most folk were in a pretty solid lockdown. And I think a lot of the brands themselves had been at least closed for part of it. And there wasn't necessarily a lot of new launches or anything else coming. But I think, what was it? I'm trying to remember the time. When was it? When did Tudor suddenly drop the Black Bay Blue? That was the back end of the summer, wasn't it?
September.
it was a wee bit later on. So yeah, I mean, I think for the mid part of the summer there wasn't a whole lot going on, and then suddenly it kind of picked up a little bit. And
do you think Dave can carry the show for about 90 seconds while I go to the toilet?
Yeah, going to mute.
I should just say as well, I'm getting live messages right now. Shout out to Abigail, who says, "I'm enjoying this, but you aren't drunk enough." So I feel as though the gauntlet has been.
If I do this, can you guys still hear me if I go for a pee? If I do this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Turn it up more.
Up. We want to hear last time. Same as last time. Have we got to carry this shit show? Right. So
welcome. So where were we?
We've got rid of Rick. Where were we? I don't know. So when the buzzer goes, we move to the next table and we carry on this little game of charades and dating. Okay. So tell me, Ryan, what does it like to do in your spare time?
What is it? What is it I like to do in my spare time?
Yeah, what do you like to do in your spare time? Yes, tell me a bit about yourself.
Okay, so aside from watches, there are a couple of things that I got really into this year, quite passionate about, and they're lockdown friendly activities. The first was latte art. So I've got this coffee machine for my birthday in June. In fact, that's the answer to the question about what happened in June. I got the coffee machine, and I was partly delighted, partly gutted that I'd spent the first 3 months of lockdown without it. And then I started slowly through YouTube learning how to do all those fancy little patterns. And it's an extremely complicated and challenging thing to even just do in the most basic way. And I'm at amateur levels right now. So latte art was one. The other was handstands. So I started to do daily handstand training. It's not very watch friendly. You really have to remove a watch to do handstands because your wrist, goes at like a 90-degree angle, which is pretty bad. Like you wouldn't want to wear an Invicta or a Panerai while doing handstands, that's for sure.
So you didn't manage to kind of increase your wrist flexibility early on in the lockdown, no?
I have tremendously. Well, yeah, actually, no. If anything, my wrist got stiffer.
Did it? So are you telling me that you took advantage of, I don't know, a free subscription to a popular internet site?
Where's Rikki? Rikki! Richard! Rikki. Hey guys, everybody, let's say we heard him. Let's say we heard everything. Oh no, shit! He's listening. He's listening. He's on mute. Shit.
Is he? Yeah.
But let's just in case he hasn't been listening. But there's no way. So what about you? What not? Oh, here we go. Rikki, we heard everything. Rikki, we heard what you were doing.
I'm disappointed. It's the fact that he come back with a magazine. That's more disappointing.
What's that in his hands?
Yeah, I know.
Did you wash them?
Oh. Come on, Rikki, get the volume up, son.
Rikki is back in the room.
Rikki moved too far away.
There we go.
Cords did not keep connected to his computer.
The microphone did, though, Rikki. The microphone did. By the way, you're on like 2 out of 10 volume right now. You need to get back with us.
That's the mic coming back now.
Hey, we heard everything. You're going to need to edit.
You heard nothing. But I heard there's some really good books you can buy, like this one.
What the hell is that? Richard?
This guy fucks. There's also this book that you can buy.
I'm gonna. By the way, my second book. Let's just do this now. Let's just announce it now. My second book is going to be called "A Man and His Wristwatch Handbook," and it's going to be a compendium of. Hey,
let's just get some like dust or something.
It's got a dust cover.
I was going to say that looks suspiciously unread. I'm gonna, and also, yeah. Look at that. That's a guy who buys books for the flex.
No, that's
for the background shots.
Dust cover to put dust on.
It doesn't even look like it's been propping a door open. Not even good enough.
It definitely has.
Not even good enough to prop the door open. What the hell?
Where did you get to, guys?
Yeah, no idea. You're going to just cut that whole section out.
Anyway, we'll cut that whole section. Where did we go? We dropped a video with Sarp and Ava. Quorum and Omega with Pietro from the Limited Edition. We had quite a few of them loaded up, ready to go. Yes, nice book, Ryan. I like seeing that there. We did a talk show with Alan and Simon from James Porter and Son, which you should go check out. We've done a hell of a lot with them this year, even though through lockdown, we've done virtual stuff, recorded it, put videos out. We've had a podcast with them. A blog to watch, Ariel Adams. He did a 4-part mini-series with us, which went down phenomenally well. We basically went through some of his articles from 10 years ago, which sounds a little bit stupid, but when you remember that the mechanical watch game is hundreds of years old and not a lot has really changed until recently, we went through all those things.
By the way, that was a great episode. I think Ariel's got fantastic perspective.
There was 4 of them, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean all 4 of them.
The series was good.
I'm referring to them like a quadrilogy, like the quadrilogy was good. It was good.
We had a little bit of a lapse from lockdown here in Scotland. The shops reopened. So one of the guys we speak to, Educating Solita, Christopher Bettany, he came up to Scotland and I took him on a tour of Glasgow and Edinburgh watch places. Ended up at Chisholm Hunter, just opposite Edinburgh Castle, went in there, looked at some of the ALS stuff, including the Zeit work and other pieces. Sweet. Then we went across to Martin's of Glasgow, introduced him to Martin and some of the things that he had done, some of the really cool Breitling pieces that then future times we ended up doing some video recording on them, and we did a podcast with Martin as well. So that was great stuff.
What does a cool Breitling piece look like?
It looks like something that was made in 1970 and was never worn.
Oh, is that the one with the Milanese?
What?
I don't think so. No.
The Milanese strap.
The Milanese. No, it wasn't that one. It was a standard Navi timer from 1970 that looked like it'd never been worn. Really cool. It's on our YouTube channel. What else did we do? Tudor said they weren't going to do any news or any releases this year. And what did they do, Dave, in September?
Did they take a pretty popular watch and change the colour of it? Is that what they did?
They did, just so you could buy one and bring it over here to record the video that's not been released yet.
Oh, that's right, because I'm a mug. Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot that. I did. No, it was a cool piece. And yeah, it was a bit unexpected. They just suddenly dropped it out, relatively speaking, out the blue. Especially the little notes that were stuck on all the boxes when they were sent out from Tudor to the retailers. That did amuse me somewhat, because the first thing they did was read it and then completely ignored it and took photos and put it on social media. But hey, you know.
Do you think that was a little bit pre-planned?
I wouldn't like to say. Probably.
Yeah, we got some shit for that later on. We get shit for breaking an embargo that we weren't part of. So to break an NDA or an embargo or a legal contract, you actually have to be involved in it and have signed something. And we weren't. So fuck you guys.
By the way, hang on a minute. First of all, that's not what we should. For all the children that are listening today, I just want to say I'm really sorry about that. Richard does not know what he's saying right now. No, but for real, okay, you guys have come a long way this year. It's been a huge year for Scottish watches. Like, you need to, I think,
I'm putting an end to that right now, I believe.
Part of being around.
The good things will end due to this.
All good things come to
Broke my ego and other things.
As you grow into a genuine outlet of information, you will find that you start to land on tracks, and those tracks are laid down by the very producers of the watches that you're going to be talking about. And I think it's really important that you don't sign those things, that you deliberately misread the emails and don't open them, and stay off the track. That's why this podcast is special. So my challenge for you is for 2021 is to do just that. Stay off.
Continue being special.
Don't sign any NDAs, and use the F word on YouTube Live.
But we just got an email a couple of days ago from a big company saying, do you want to sign an NDA? And we'll tell you things. So I should say no to that.
Can you get Rick to sign the NDA, but then you talk about it, breaking the NDA, and you can...
I like that.
It's called limited liability.
It's called You're Not Drunk Enough.
Yeah.
Rick Enterprises LLC.
Yes. Rec Enterprises. So from there, we did a video with Rolf, the CEO of Oris. He had sent us across the Holstein 2020 edition.
Lemon juice.
Full bronze. Yeah, that came
It's
across
falling
looking
apart.
like it had been dipped in dog shit. And I had to use some lemon juice and some Cape Cod to bring it back to its former glory. Did a great video on that on our YouTube channel just now. From there, Baselworld decided that Baselworld was a bit like calling your place Windscale and renamed itself. It is now known as Our Universe instead of Sellafield. And they were going to be doing an event next year, which I think they've now cancelled or postponed or done something with again. After a couple of years of speaking to him, we finally got Commando Sundials on the podcast, and he was a character. He talks about all kinds of stuff, from joining the Marines, getting shit wrong when he went in to sign up, all the way through to helping veterans in Glasgow, his watch collection, and how he has actually helped different charitable organisations with his love of watches, pretty much, in his Instagram accounts. You know him quite well as well, Dave, don't you?
Yeah, he's a solid human being, isn't he? He is mad as a box of brushes. There's no two ways about it. But he is a absolutely solid human being. If the shit ever goes wrong, you know, you want him on your side. But trying to hold a conversation with him is like trying to hold a conversation with a 3-year-old in ketamine.
Yeah, he does run on like adrenaline.
Yeah, he certainly does.
Amphetamine sulfate. So moving from there, what
month are we in, by the way?
next?
What week are we in?
What week? I didn't really take notes. I was starting to get drunk. I was recording all these informations here. So next up is the Doxa Carbon, which is a limited edition piece. We got to send this through from, I think it was Monica at the Blue Company. She organised this for us.
Thanks,
We
Monica.
did a video on that. I think I recorded the audio with you again, Dave, because you're the only guy that would come and see me during lockdown. That was good. Then the world.
How did Rikki seem, Dave, when you met with him? Was he okay?
Yeah, I mean, you know, like, through that big plastic suit that you get in ET, you know, it's like, do with care. So what's the side effects of COVID, Rikki? I've now got 4 bollocks.
Everything tastes the same. Doesn't taste salty anymore.
We are live, Scottish Watches.
We're live on Scottish Watches.
In 3, 2.
Everyone knows that salt makes everything taste better.
True.
Makes the medicine go down. So that Doxa Carbon was pretty good. Then the world almost ended for a second time this year. The internet ground to a halt. Instagram servers, they almost went offline because
you're going to say, I know this.
Because Hodinkee thought everybody needed
goat skin covered. Go on.
Travel clocks. Travel clocks. That's all I'm going to say.
I mean, you know, if ever there was just a moment in time where the marketing department hit every box, that was the one. It's like, so you can just imagine that meeting. So here's 5 things we need to hit to get this right.
Guys, listen. They bought everything so far, right? Listen. Travel clocks.
We're looking for a traveller with 6K loose change in the travel clock market, seeking something that looks like the JLC one that you can get for a couple £100. But this one will be goat skin wrapped. And we got the movements from Lepe, but they didn't build the travel clock. We put it in and we didn't put the bell cover on. And look, that's details. Let's go live. This is going to be fine.
What could possibly go wrong?
And the rest is history.
That happened. That was a good thing.
Yep.
From there, we actually had a good release. We had the Tudor Royal or Royale or whatever it's called, which wasn't released here in the UK, but was in Asian markets only. I really like it. I've not seen one in real life, but I think it's a pretty cool looking piece. Very economical considering it's Tudor. Have you managed to see one, any of you guys?
I'm Googling it right now. Tudor Royal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
Is that the one with the sort of...
I've not physically seen one, but certainly had enough of a look at pictures and stuff. I agree. What, 1700-ish UK, something like that starts from.
Mm-hmm.
Decent looking watch. I think it's you know, for a lot of people who might default to I don't know, a tag or something as their first watch, I think it's a solid alternative for a lot of people. I think it's a good
looks like
watch.
a day date built by a subsidiary of Rolex.
Which it is. So that happened. Adrian at Bark and Jack, friend of the show, he had 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Well done to him without buying them or doing any kind of nefarious things behind the
Can
scenes.
we get the fact checkers?
Fact checking. We're good. There was a limited edition, I believe, or special edition Omega Speedmaster Dark Side of the Moon designed for water sports.
Ah, yeah. Is that what kind of water sports is that, Ricky? Is it a high pressure water sport?
It would be. It's quite sedate, and then suddenly all of a sudden.
Is it one of these things that where, if you just apply the right pressure and put the finger in the right place, suddenly there's a copious amount of water at high pressure?
Correct, that's the one.
People believe it happens, but it's one of those rare opportunities when those things happen to people. They'll be glad they were wearing a Speedmaster.
So that happened.
Anyway, I'm lost. I don't recall a limited edition Speedmaster this year.
This is the Lingy edition. It's like the Apollo 8 in yellow, but it's in red.
I think the last Speedmaster that came out was like 3 or 4 years ago.
They hardly ever released them, Ryan. You probably couldn't remember the last time they brought one out.
That's the problem. Is if you blink, you miss those limited editions.
I mean, why keep reinventing the wheel?
Our friend Robin from Moritz Grotzman here in the UK went on a crazy cycle routing of, I think it was 2 months all over the UK on a bicycle, which is absolutely crackers, and no one has heard from him since. This is true. We tried to get a hold of him. That happened. Handsome Rob sent us the best free gift of the year, which was a Grand Seiko face mask, which I still wear to this day. It is brilliant, and I get asked everywhere where I got this from. Not really. Dawn
is it finished
Vertex
to within an inch of its life?
Did a show with me and Dave, and it was the first time I'd seen a Vertex watch. It was a bronze number, really nice. Reminds me of, it was a Broad Arrow, wasn't it, Dave? The one that we got through limited edition, was it M1 or something like that?
It was based on it. It was a bronze based on the M100. That's what it was, wasn't it?
M100, right?
Yeah, which was his model. Yeah, and it was kind of it was. I actually really liked it. It was a good looking piece, and it came with the addition. That's the one that came, I think, three. Came with a leather strap and a couple of additional straps as well, didn't it? Like based on the original military straps. Yeah, I think it was a good looking piece. That
decent watch. We found out you can't record 2 people in the one room over Zoom because you get interference. But anyway, we fixed that.
But it's just as well because I'm glad we found it out because lockdown rules and stuff. I'm glad we found it out before it was a thing and it actually happened.
Correct.
So,
is Nicola Sturgeon still on?
Nicola Sturgeon, is she still there?
Can't see. I think she's still in the chat room. But anyway, she fucked up. She was doing some kind of what was it? People die.
A funeral.
She did a funeral and didn't wear a mask. Blah blah blah.
What's that thing? People die. Scotland.
I was channeling Rick, not remembering which word was to come next in the sentence there.
Shout to Rick, guys. Rick.
Raise a glass for Rick. Oh shit, I'm nearly empty.
Rick and Oris.
Rick, as you can see, Rick, we're coping very well without you. This is
best of the last SWL that I tried to do myself. Anyway, we got a prototype through from Zenith, Bamford, and Black Badger, and we did a video on it. We recorded a podcast. We got everything done. We were the first people to get a hold of this watch before Bark and Jack, Fratello, all these guys, and then someone fat fingered their Instagram account at Bamford and released all the information on the watch 2 weeks before it was supposed to happen. So we were the only place that had any photos or video or anything to do with the watch, so we managed to get a scoop on that one, which was quite decent. Subsequently, we've had Black Badger on the show himself because obviously the first episode, George Bamford had the background, the history, all the releases and things, so he kind of took centre stage a little bit on that one. But we brought James back on to talk about things that we'll get to later on.
Wait, so hang on. So someone else, some random guy, released pictures of the what? Released pictures of the watch?
Not random. Someone from the brand.
Cheeky.
They totally tutored it.
Cheeky.
Shocking behaviour. What else happened there? Let me think. Martin from Martin's of Glasgow came on, did his second podcast, which was really popular. People love hearing his stories about working as a watch repairer, service centre, and the crazy people that come in with crazy watches to get sorted out, serviced, yada yada, Rolex decided it was time to drop some funky colours and a new sub. And you would think changing the sub from 40mm to 41mm, even though it wasn't a change of 40 to 41mm, the biggest news there was all these coloured OPs, and it was such staggering news in the watch world that Floatlight decided to buy his first Rolex. What happened, Dave? Fill us in.
Lunacy. 2020, that's all I'm saying. I'm still not entirely sure what happened. What did happen? It's a good question. Yeah, I like orange, even though it's not called orange. It's called red. It's not red. It's orange. So they're wrong. Yeah, I just liked it. Easy, simple as that. Usual rules for buying watches for me is if I like it and I think it's something that intrigues me, then I'll have a think about it. And luckily, touch wood, I didn't have to jump through the usual Rolex bullshit hoops and managed to get one relatively quickly.
Get up on the screen again. Let's have a little peek at it. Let's be guys listening in. Let's name the correct color for this style. It's coral.
Middle one.
Dynarod orange.
I'm going with coral. Sorry, what's your one, Ricky?
Dynarod orange.
Dynarod, yeah. Okay, I'm getting that. I'm with that. I'm there.
I think it's emergency orange. It's the color that they paint like
emergency orange
in voice boxes. Voice recorders. It's a great piece though, genuinely.
Oh, it's a bit richer. There's a bit more blood in it.
Fair enough. That happened. Let me think what else happened there. We got some Rolex chocolates through it.
Glad you did the research, Ricky.
What was that?
I'm glad you did some research. This would have been over.
It would have been over like many moons ago. We got some Rolex chocolates through because Rolex opened a new boutique in Scotland, in Glasgow, in the middle of lockdown. No one was able to go to the grand opening, but they did it live on the internet. So we therefore got champagne and chocolates, and everyone was pissed off because they didn't. Christopher Ward sent us up some watches, which was nice of them. We kept them all throughout the year so that at the end of the year we could do a big grand video with Mike France, which will be out soon once I can be bored editing it. And we recorded a podcast with Vortic because Vortic in the States won their case. They won their case against Hamilton for use of the name Hamilton on dials that were produced by Hamilton 100 years ago, but that has gone to the appeal court at the moment. And that was the episode where Rick was not allowed to butt in.
Vortec successfully prevented Lewis Hamilton from making pocket watch conversions.
That was a different one later on.
Because Lewis Hamilton was making, because he was making pocket watches, wasn't he?
Yeah, something like that.
Just nod, Ricky. Yeah.
From there, we had an episode with one of the guys over at eBay in America. It was all about their new authenticity program, the authenticity guarantee. That was Tarath Kamdar, and we thought we'd bring him onto the show and ask some funky questions and try and catch him out and see what the sort of catch was with the whole program. Turned out it was legit. There was no catch. We tried every which way to sort of spin it. Why is this happening now? Blah, blah, blah. Is there an extra cost to the person that's buying the watch or selling the watch? No, it turns out they were looking to make things a lot easier with the program. And if you're buying and selling watches on eBay, especially in America, they're bringing this to Europe, but there's no way to lose. If you buy a watch, if you sell a watch, they basically cover you. Everything goes via an intermediary, a watchmaker that will open the watch up, check it, make sure that everything you say when you list it is true. When it goes to the buyer, if the buyer then turns around and says, oh, I get a whole load of rocks in a box here, eBay can say, well, we videoed everything start to finish from when it went from the seller to us to you. You guys are at it. So great news. That's going to be rolling out across the world. We're testing it in America, and we should hopefully have some news on that one soon. Where did we go there? We had some more videos from Petro. We had the Armstrong collection. We also had from Sophie Rindler the Talker collection, the Air Defenders, including the world's first or the second fully loomed case, which glows in the dark. And the other ones they had were hydro dipped, which is another process that hasn't really been done with watches before. We had James Lambden from Analog Shift. He came on, did an episode talking about Doxa from the 60s. all the way through to where he is just now, working with Watches of Switzerland Group, eventually getting purchased by Watches of Switzerland Group. We got my favourite watch of the year. I don't actually have it on the table here. And it's a Zelos Mako version 3 in bronze, 300-metre diver, Seiko NH35A inside. And I didn't realise this was only £300. I thought this was probably £800, £1,000 because of the quality of the release. And completely blown me away. My best sort of watch buy of the year for anybody that's looking for one. Yeah, apart from that shitty Apple Watch that Ryan is showing to the screen here. So as we come into sort of the end of the year, guys, what was your sort of watch news, purchases, what things grabbed your attention?
I can remember this part. I can remember this part because it was more recent.
Were you sobering up?
But Dave.
You go first. No. You're not playing this game again. Get on with it. Get on with it.
So we did the travel clock. Did Grubel Forze release their sports thing? Did we catch that? Yeah, that was superb. What month are we in? Halloween. Again, Chaikin did his little... was the vampire one for Halloween?
I don't know. Is it Ryan?
Dave?
Come on, Ryan.
Konstantin Chaikin. Didn't we talk about this at the beginning? We're bringing the whole loop together.
How have you ever managed to get a book written?
Ghostwriters.
I'm revealing my weakness, which is remembering what happened.
Details. details and information retention. Back end. I think what happens at the back end of the year in terms of new stuff. Obviously, there was the kind of whole Rolex release kind of suite of watches that were released that began to filter onto the market over the last few months. So we'll begin to see folk popping up with various colours of the OPs, and you'll begin to see a few of the kind of Submariners make appearances now as well. I think realistically, I've probably seen a few more people with a few more of those pieces than I would necessarily have expected to see at this point in time, which is a good thing, you know. And I think it's fair to say, I've seen quite a few people who I would regard as actually, you know, watch people who are buying it because they're into watches have managed to get their hands on maybe one of those Rolex releases that they've wanted, which, you know, is a good thing. And what else is kind of filtered through? I think actually there's Bamford's had a bit of a push. He's had a whole load of stuff landed over the last few months, various kind of pieces, whether it's his own pieces or some kind of collab stuff as well. There's I don't know, very back end of the year, Ricky, there was something plastic that released.
We're getting to that, Dave.
Are we?
That was like 2 days ago.
I need to control the stroke.
Yep, stroke.
Oh, damn.
We had the new Snoopy announcements, although nothing got delivered because apparently somebody didn't update their subscription to Norton Antivirus over at Omega.
Actually, I forgot that was actually only officially announced 5th of October. Although they kind of they hadn't shown any pictures, but they'd kind of been teasing about it way at the start of the year on Instagram. Yeah, and then the official release was 5th of October. And that just shows you what kind of year it's been when the 5th of October seems like a lifetime ago. But that was there. And although, and actually, kind of although this is fast forwarding a little, they were late, but have come through and started delivering them slightly earlier than they kind of anticipated after the launch. So that's good. What else has happened? That's, I think.
Nick from Fierce came up, recorded a podcast with us all.
Well, actually, Nick actually does a good point, because back end of the summer, wasn't it? I'm trying to think. Yeah, back end of the summer, Nick, it was it September? When did he come up? Was it August? Yeah, September-ish time. And he kind of announced his new dial colour, which is the not champagne. Christ almighty, I'm absolutely drunk. Yeah, no, it's not pink.
I thought it was pink.
What is the colour?
Salmon.
Guys,
salmon, there we go. Fishy.
Let's just stop.
Salmon.
Let's just stop. Okay.
Salmon dial, which is, and obviously at the same time he announced, he kind of launched the new Fierce kind of typography in terms of the numerals and the new Fierce logo as well. So yeah, he had a few things to announce. So that stuff came out, and is now. He's a real strong end to the year, because I begin to see quite a few folk all over the world begin to pick up various Fierce pieces from him. So that's a good thing. It's good to see him kind of getting some traction and getting more and more people. And actually, closer to home, Anordane announced some of their newer dial formats, I think, at the back end of this year as well, didn't they? Some of the new Fumi dials.
I'm actually looking at my list of watches. I'm looking at a list of new watches, but I don't know when they actually came out.
Okay, fair enough.
So that pin number.
Boris decided that it was time to release a new Cala Bear, and their new movement, the 400, looks like a bear. If you look at the back of it, they dropped that first, and then they dropped a watch release, which was the Aquis Date. And that had 120 hours of power reserve, 10-year servicing, 10-year warranty, lots of anti-magnetic stuff.
Have you confirmed with the brand that it was supposed to look like a bear, or are you seeing a bear and everything?
We just see a bear and everything because we are shills, apparently, due to you, Ryan.
I wasn't even teeing that up.
Yep, sure. So that came out. The
Oris.
Hodinkee Q Timex came out as a limited edition. Me and Rick gamed the system to figure out how many pieces they had, because you go into the online ordering system on hodinkee.com and you type in 99999, enter, and it'll say, no, you can only buy 1,300 of them.
Wow, it would tell you the number?
It tells you the number that are available left.
That's
so we did that.
weakness.
I bought one, as you guys saw at the start of the show. Never wear it, but hey, I have a Hodinkee piece. So that came out. Let me think what else came out after that.
Hodinkee dumped the Swatch as well, didn't they? They dumped their, what, fourth?
That was at the end.
Swatch?
That wasn't the best Swatch release of the year. We're getting that. Keep best.
When was that?
November
they dropped that?
Last. Yep, it was November. We did an episode with Chisholm Hunter, who are one of the biggest in Scotland multi-chain retailers. They cover all different brands. They recently launched a shop in Dundee just before lockdown. Worst time possibly to launch a shop, but it did successfully well. It was really, really well put together. Lots of different brands in there that they hadn't had before, such as IWC, but across the different, boutiques across Scotland, they've got everybody from ALS right the way through to Breguet, Zenith.
Have you been able to go there? Have you been able to visit?
In between the lockdowns, yes. Yeah. Managed to grab a couple of days where we'd go to different places to check things out, but it's a different beast to what it was last year. Last year there was all kinds of stuff. At the end of the Edinburgh Fringe, Chisholm Hunter on Princes Street in Edinburgh would have a big party because you could see Edinburgh Castle with all the effects and the fireworks and stuff. Not this year, which was a real shame. So that happened. Episode 200 came out, Scottish Watches podcast. Episode 200, we wanted a shiny, and we got one. We got Jean-Claude Biver. I don't have to tell you who he is, because if you don't know who he is, you need to go and Google the shit out of that and then come back here.
He's a famous cheesemaker, but he also has been in the watch industry, hasn't he? Before the cheese.
At some point, yeah. He used to hoodwink different companies to buy his watches. He would pretend they were really sort of in demand, and lots of stories. You need to check out the podcast. That
Great
was
episode.
Cracking episode. Cracking.
Yeah. For episode 200, I can't think of anyone bigger at all in the watch industry, the watch game, media, or industry as at large. It was just fantastic, and the hour went too quick.
I don't think an industry and a generation is guaranteed a person like that.
No.
So I think we're lucky that our industry and generation has had a Biver. He's unique.
He's unique, exactly. He's one of these people that universally is respected, regardless of what. He's not a person you ever really hear anything negative said about him. Everyone's got respect for him, which I think is a difficult thing to do in an industry that's as challenging sometimes as the watch industry. So he is a once in a generation kind of individual.
Honestly speaking, when you think about CEOs of in the watch industry, there are very few where their passion just continues to just flow.
Yeah.
Like people like Max Busser, I think you can see it. Jean-Claude Biver, these people really stand out.
Max Busser is our New Year's Eve episode.
For real?
Yeah.
He's Max is phenomenal.
With Barbara, yeah.
For the same reason, these are guys that are just they're in tune with their passion, and that's something that they're gifted with. It's nothing to do with the watches.
So you guys need to go check that one out. That is an absolute cracker. Straight after that, we had Brian Duffy, head of Watches of Switzerland Group, fellow Glaswegian, and he was so prim, proper, and polished and professional. But In the background of the episode, as happens quite a lot here, there was an ice cream van that drives down my street, and he could hear the noise of the ice cream van playing its little tune, and it took him back to Glasgow many decades ago when he used to drive an ice cream van himself. And we started having a chat about Glasgow and him getting cornered by a couple of different gangs that used to sell merchandise in Glasgow from ice cream vans, and he wasn't involved in that, but he kind of got
high-end watches. We're talking about high-end watches.
We're talking about high-end watches. So that kind of diverted them away from the professional route we were taking with the podcast, and people really appreciated that. We got the real person, the real Glaswegian came to the forefront. Great episode as well as Jean-Claude Viver and a couple of other episodes this year. The Brian Duffy one is an absolute cracker to check out. We got Martin from Martin's Glasgow back to do a video because he talked about in audio some of the watches that he had collected himself, some of his customers' watches. He brought them across so we could look at them. As you alluded to earlier, Lewis Hamilton got into a little bit of strife with the Hamilton Watch Company, part of Swatch. Didn't go in Lewis's way, didn't win Watch Personality of the Year there. And then we had a podcast come out that I wasn't sure about recording because it was different. We'd come off the back of Jean-Claude Viver, Brian Duffy, and I got one of my friends to come on the podcast, a younger guy, Ted. He's only 21 years of age, die-hard watch enthusiast. And I thought, how's this going to go with our audience? Because we have got a massive international catchment of America, Canada, Australasia, across the world. And this guy is not a big name. He doesn't work for a big industry company or whatever. Brought him onto the show and we had phenomenal feedback. He talked about how it is being a younger person trying to buy a luxury watch and the way that the majority of ADs treat him like shit. Because they see a young person, they think he's kidding on, he doesn't really want to buy a watch, he doesn't have the means to buy a watch, but he does. And his story was an absolute cracker. And Dave, you had a couple of comments on that one as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of folk kind of connected with that, and I think it proves that whilst it's great interviewing, stalwarts of the industry or people that are well known or names that are known, it doesn't always bring across the reality of what the vast majority of, for want of a better phrase, normal people encounter when they're trying to spend their hard-earned cash in the watch industry. And I think his experiences and the way he kind of got across with it rang true with a lot of people. It's like, this shouldn't be as difficult as sometimes it's made to be, whether it's by the AD or by the brand or whatever. And lots of folk kind of really connected to that episode. So it was a great episode. And as you say, you were trying to second guess whether it was going to go down well, and it went down better than I think any of us could have expected.
Totally. We're still getting feedback, not just from the younger people that listen to the show, which there are a lot of, but there was a guy in his mid-40s in America that sent a quite a long DM saying that he'd listened to the episode and it resonated with him in a different country in a different time frame, and it reminded of him decades ago when he was trying to buy a watch and he was treated like shit as well. And it was a bit of a wake-up call. So hopefully, we know that there's a lot of dealers in Scotland, across the UK, across the world that listen to the show. Hopefully it makes them maybe think again when someone walks in to express an interest in a watch instead of dismissing them straight away. So that was good. From there, Dubai Watch Week with Barbara Palumbo. She invited me on. She's been involved with what they have been doing for years. Obviously, nothing has happened physically. Everything's been online this year. So she invited me on to be a co-host with her, talking about sustainability. Can you tell that I'm drunk?
Do it.
Talking about
tell that it's happened.
Recyclable packaging. I love the way we're getting more sober and he's getting more drunk. It's great.
It's good. We'll just edit this. It's going to be fine. But tell us when we're live.
Is he left the meeting?
I can't hear you, but I can hear you now.
I'm glad you didn't hear us.
We were just patiently waiting. Carry on.
That's okay. This one died. So we're back. Yeah. Whatever I said
watches,
before.
By the way.
Nice watches. Yeah, good.
Nice. Lovely.
So yeah,
lovely.
did Dubai Watch Week with Barbara. Great show on sustainability, all that kind of stuff. We tried to get a Breitling on the show, but it didn't turn up. When it turned up a few days later, it was the wrong Breitling. with the wrong strap, the wrong model, had a massive scratch in the back of it, and didn't have a working movement.
Nice. But apart from that, it was a great
Apart from that, it was
beautiful,
fantastic. Loved it.
I mean,
for wrist shots, it was great because it said 10 past 10 all the time.
Every time. Perfect time.
Knocked it out of the park. So that happened. Chris Bettany, who I'd mentioned before, Educating Slater, he wrote us a nice little Christmas article. I think it was called Wismas, which was Watch Idiot Savant, and it was 12 gifts you could buy somebody that's into watches for Christmas. That happened. We did the unboxing of the Breitling live on Instagram, and I tried to cover my tracks because I didn't realize that what they'd sent me didn't work, was the wrong watch, had the wrong strap, and had a scratch on it. But hey, we got past that. We're professionals. We know what we're doing, especially when one of our AirPods dies. One of the best shows we've ever had in the past 2 years was our Waco episode. And Dave, you set this one up. And usually when we go into an episode, we treat it as if the listener doesn't know who this person is, or they might have seen him, but they don't know the background. So it's a case of, tell me your history. What is it you do? How did you get into watches? What's your collection like? That didn't happen with Way. Way took control at the start, and I just let you guys speak. And it was a talk between friends that are into watches. And that was an hour-long communication where the listeners came on a journey and they loved it because the feedback we had was phenomenal.
Yeah. And I think, again, like as you say, the good thing about that episode was that I think Way took what Scottish Watches do seriously, and that when I say seriously, he knows that we take things with a little bit of irreverence and everything else, and he let that flow, and he kind of
brought up cocaine.
He did, which was brilliant.
We're not allowed to do
the two of us were like, let's not bring that subject up, and he brought it up, and we nearly ended ourselves laughing in the middle of that. That was great. But I think interestingly as well, the feedback on that was a lot of folk, had judged maybe him, and as they judge others, maybe on what they see in kind of media or what they perceive they think somebody's like. And actually, quite a lot of the feedback was, hey, he came across really well, and like a lot of the things he was saying rang true with him as well, which I suppose is a bit of a lesson in life for everyone as well. Like don't take people or anything else at face value. Try and get to either know them or listen to what they've got to say before you judge.
Yeah, no, it was a really good episode. To the point where I'd like to get him back to tell us more, because he opened up a lot of stories and a lot of channels and didn't have the time to sort of go right down the route to fully explain what was going on. So that was fantastic. We got through, I don't know if did I show the Rikki earlier on? No. Got through this, haven't had time to properly review it, but this is a Rikki Copernic. And it was Pietro Limited Edition sent us across. The reason being, this is a modern day recreation of the 1970s, 1980s Rikki Copernic that I already own, and he wanted me to do a sort of updated video.
You have the vintage one?
Yeah, I've got the vintage one next door. And it's one of the best timekeepers ever. It's like 1 second a day out. But this one here, really cool. It has got a movement that you can see just a little bit on the back. You can see the escapement, the hairspring through the back instead of a full see-through case back. It has just got a small window, and then you rotate it around, obviously the rotor covers that. So video will be coming soon on this guy.
This cool looking
watch. We did a lot of stuff towards the end of the year. The last month or two, we had a Pollen X Anordain video coming out, the Neo C, which Dave has got. We did our Christmas gift guide. We had, let me think, Simon's Accutron videos that we spoke about recently, because obviously you've got yours on earlier on today. We launched a couple of new shows as well towards the end of the year. Time of the Week, which is Sam, and Not Sam, otherwise known as Lucy. 3 women that are into watches, know what they're talking about, work in the industry or are collectors themselves. They get on phenomenally well, and we decided, listen, they've been great on Scottish Watches Live, they've been good on the podcast. Let's see how they go themselves, and they have taken it and ran with it, and that has turned out a great success. We brought Lucy on as a co-host maybe just about 4 weeks ago, when we had an auction house on the show. Nobody really knows much about auctions apart from Paul Newman's and Patek's and things like that. We thought it'd be good to bring on somebody grassroots here in Scotland that works within watch auctions day by day and explain how it's all put together. That everyman can get involved in it. It's not just if you've got massive pockets and you can afford tens of thousands, if not millions of pounds, that everyman can get involved, and there's some bargains to be had. So we brought on Sarah Ferguson from Lion and Turnbull. She came on with Lucy. Great show. From that, they launched their video, and that has gone from strength to strength. I think they're up to episode 3 or 4 just now as well. Have you checked that one out, Dave?
I have, yeah, really good. I mean, as you say, they've got a real good kind of dynamic between them, and definitely brings a really different take and viewpoint from maybe the way we approach things or anything else, but it still has that same kind of undertone of taking everything with a little bit of pinch of salt and having fun at the same time.
No. As we come up to the end of the year, let's see what we've got here. We redid our 10,000 giveaway with Omer. We actually gave it to someone that won it legitimately, fair and square, which was good. We recorded an hours-long episode of our video sequences for Christopher Ward with Mike France and one of their designers, Adrian. That should be out soon. Kudoki video went live with Pietro's Limited Edition. We did Watches We Love to Hate. Remember that, Ryan? That was quite recent.
I remember that.
Remember
that was quite recent.
Wow.
Quite good.
Excellent work.
I remember
lots of great feedback about it. And we started to tease a collaboration.
Really?
Something that we'd been working on for months, but people think we can't keep a secret, but we kind of did. And eventually, news broke just after our talk show edition with Jonathan from Edinburgh Watch Company. That came out just a few days beforehand, but we'd recorded that just as the lockdown finished in the UK, in Scotland for a week. We managed to record a talk show episode with Jonathan, which we do every year. We caught up with him, talks about the pre-loved industry, how things are moving, and then it happened. We launched our first watch, limited edition watch, with possibly the biggest watch company in the world, and also the limited edition watch that was at the cheapest price ever for a limited edition watch, I think. What do you think, Dave? Is that true?
Think. Sounds true. Think it might be true.
What was the price?
£104.
To you. 104, 115 euros, 125 US dollars.
Of which Scottish Watches, myself, Dave, or Ryan, or anybody else makes 0 pence, £0 from. Because we decided this year, instead of releasing a watch, because we get asked on a weekly basis by different brands across the planet, from up there to low down, we get asked if we want to collaborate and do a watch, blah, 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 licensing deals, all those kind of things. And we've always said no, because we wanted to see how things would progress. We're only 2 years young, 200 episodes deep, wanted to see how things would go. And when this watch opportunity came along, we decided it's been a bit of a shit year. I've said this in the podcast, a lot of people have lost their jobs, their careers, their industries, their lives. My sister's had COVID. She lost her job as well. It's been a rough year for me, for weddings, for music festivals, for stuff that doesn't exist at the moment anymore. We wanted to bring something out that wasn't £1,000, it wasn't £500, £2,000 or whatever. We wanted to try and do something that when people bought this watch, if they were interested in it, they would look at the wrist and smile because of the designs on it, the illustrations, the graphics, and also the fact that we didn't want to make anything on this. We wanted this to be out there at the cheapest price, so the most amount of people could get a hold of it. And Dave, tell the story of how this came to be.
Oh, man, I'm drunk. We had to be fair, I think it started off by kind of us just chatting about a cool idea if we could do something that was accessible and good fun and a laugh and kind of embodied what I suppose what Scottish Watches is about, which is, not taking things too seriously, but not kind of giving folk a hard time for the sake of it. If they deserve a hard time, they get a hard time, but we'll quite happily praise folk if they do a good thing. So we wanted to just do something that kind of embodied those things. And we reached out to a few folk we know, and amazingly, they didn't tell us to take a run and jump, which was somewhat surprising.
Because they knew what would happen if they did.
Aye, Scottish and violence enacted. But, they did with it, and we reached out to somebody who we felt could, I suppose, capture the essence of what we were trying to do in a kind of graphic cartoon format, which was Diana. And she took the bare minimum of direction from us in terms of we are pretty crap at giving any form of direction. Gave her a random selection of words, which she turned into something that actually, I think it's fair to say that first time we saw it, other than daft little tweaks here and there, she pretty much hit the nail on the head first time round. And then other than the back and forward between, you know, us and the brand and just tweaking out things that either weren't technically possible or couldn't be done easily or didn't work particularly well, we got to a place without too much kerfuffle that allowed us to get the template out there. And as of, what was it, a couple of days ago, 23rd, I think it was, went live. And, you know, the reaction seems to have been really good. I think, to be honest, the person I feel most delighted for is Diana, because you know, like, I think it's fair to say that she's absolutely, you know, she's an artist and she's absolutely delighted, like she's ecstatic that some of her artwork's going to end up on a watch, and her big loves in life are artwork. And well, actually, I think her biggest love in life is making people happy. Actually, she's a happy person. There's no two ways about it. But you know, artwork and watches are big things, are big passions in life, and it's just nice to see someone who's genuinely excited. And I don't know about you, but I don't think it's a false excitement. She seems absolutely delighted the fact that she's we've got something over the line, and yeah, that'll be good fun. I'm quite looking forward to seeing.
When will people start receiving them?
Monday, Tuesday, believe it or not.
Nice.
Amazingly, considering it was only, what was that? That was 23rd was Wednesday.
Christmas Eve.
Yeah, folk were putting their orders in, and I think a few folk in the UK and a few folk in the States got their shipping confirmations on the 24th with delivery dates of Monday, Tuesday. So I'm looking forward to seeing like what folk have come up with in the designs, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they've managed to get away with the wording on the back of their watches, which is going to humour me more than anything, I think. So yeah, it's just nice to see. It's a nice thing, you know. There's no two ways about it, you know. Like without trying to be big-headed about it, it's nice to get something over the line that you've got some investiture in. But I think it's nice to see that it's hit a resonance with people out there, and that they've kind of, you know, genuine people have got an affinity to it, and that they've gone with it, and they're going to come up with something. I think that's a good thing.
You need to do a version with that looks like the logo, with the actual Scottish flag on it.
Oh, it's got Scottish flags on it. Yeah, one of the things that Swatch have for whatever reason, and you know, at the end of the day, it's their play park, so they're allowed to decide whatever they do or don't want. But they don't do watches on watches. That's one of their things, believe it or not. So
you won't see a watch on this watch if you zoom in closely.
They don't do watches on watches.
They obviously didn't look that close. Anyway, so if anyone doesn't know, this is the type of thing we're talking about. It uses the Swatch XU platform. So there's a pattern, a wallpaper, a background, like wrapping paper, where you can zoom, scroll left and right, tilt, rotate, and then when you see what you like on the screen, you hit the fire button pretty much, and that will stamp out your watch. So this is the one I got last year using Swatch XU. This is the Apollo 50th anniversary moon landing commemorative edition. And this was about 110 quid or so. So our one's cheaper. Ours is cheaper than Hodinkee and everybody else. You basically print it out. You can choose the color of the movement if you want indices or not. And they will basically send it out to you. And you can choose to have some writing on the back, of which obviously I wrote some shit. And that is it. So a lot of people thankfully decided that this was a good idea. They liked the graphics, they liked the design, they wanted to support what we're doing as much as, you know, Diana's not making any cash either. She donated her time and her help for this project just to get something out there, because this year's been horrible for so many. But a lot of people have gone for it. A lot of people will have them hopefully soon. I've ordered one. I've paid full price for it as well, and that should be arriving imminently. And I'm just looking forward to seeing all the wrist shots and things like that, because some of the design cues that were on the graphic, like the Duke of Wellington with the cone on his head, those are real things that mean a lot to people that are in Glasgow or in Scotland. And we're looking forward to seeing wrist shots of people doing that in front of Edinburgh Castle or a can of Iron Brew or whatever it is.
Or anywhere else in the world,
pops up.
You know,
yeah,
anywhere in the world that they've got something that means to them, Empire State Building, you know, wherever they are in the world, that they can put the background in front of them, that something that means something to them. So it'll be good. And I'm also conscious that you've got to edit this down to an hour, and we've now been at this for.
I might leave it long because it's an end of year thing.
There we go.
Let it go out. So as we finish up, the Swatch was obviously the best end to the year, although not quite the best end to the year, because we do have one episode after this one, which is our Max Busser episode. Barbara Palumbo has been a tremendous help throughout the year with different things behind the scenes, and she organised an interview with Max, and they know each other. They've worked together on Dubai Watch Week, various other things, and he came onto the show, and they kind of just carried the conversation forward, a bit like yourself, Dave, and Waco. It was a communication between friends. It sounded fantastic. I've not edited it yet, but it's going to be an easy one. And I just kind of interjected every so often to ask him stupid questions because I don't know as much as Barbara does about the subject matter. And he was a great guest. He talked about different things. He talked about programming his Commodore 64. He talked about programming an assembler, basic, Fortran, all kinds of things. So the nerdgasm that I had speaking to him about technical matters was brilliant. And obviously the releases that he's had from the horological machines right the way through to the Robotoy that you've obviously got as a watch stand. So that's an episode that comes out in Hogmanay, New Year's Eve, 2020, to lead us into the new year. But before we finish up, although we're massively long, this is going to be an absolute bastard to edit, there are a couple of things I want to show off before we finish, if you guys have got a couple of minutes. Okay?
I'm sorry, I don't. I'm going to have to go.
Well, you can fuck off then. So, we have got Chris Bettany, who I've mentioned a couple of times before, came up to Scotland, gave him a quick tour of different watch places, Glasgow, Edinburgh. He sent me a couple of cards. So he sent me this one.
Okay.
And another one. And they didn't turn up in time. So the first one he sent didn't turn up. He messaged said, "Did my card arrive?" I said, "No." He sent a second one a week and a day later, and they both turned up on the same day. So thank you, Chris, for that.
Well done, Royal Mail.
Thank you, Royal Mail. We have got one from James Porter and Son, from Simon and the crew, Simon, Alan, Claire, yada yada, and new hire, Hannah, that I may have had a hand in getting her a job, but I'm not going to admit to that. So thank you, Simon, for that one. Lots of Simon's videos out already, coming soon. Got one from the guys at Art of Horology, who we've mentioned many times on the show before. Big spiel, not going to read it out, but great guys, good at artwork, even though you guys tried to derail them when I mentioned it in the Christmas episode about buying from them. You pair of bastards. One here from Nicholas from Fears. Nope. One here from Pietro from the limited edition.
Edit. Cut.
Because it says the limited edition on the back. Oops,
We'll
daisies.
Be fine. Be fine.
It'll be fine. He'll never know. He'll never know. Writing and such inside. This one might be the one from Fears because it says in the back.
That's it.
Fears. Yeah. So thanks to Nicholas from Fears Watch Company. Great friend, great support of the show, great podcasts. One of the best lines this year in the podcast was when he turned around on the show and said, "I may not have jugs, but I know a lot about lugs." And if there was a degree
of humour there.
There was. So thank you, Nick, for that. What else was there? I think this was that was the second one from Chris, Educating Slater. So it's been a great year on Scottish Watches. We ended on a massive high. It's been horrible for a lot of people. It's been not bad for others. Some people have done very well. We have a Swatch limited edition out just now, limited by time, not by volume. So it will not be scalped on eBay. There won't be people buying up the first 500,000 of and then pumping them out at 3 times the price. You have up until the middle of January to basically buy your own Swatch XU Scottish Watches watch. So details are on our Instagram, on our Facebook page, on our website. Go there, check it out. If you like the design, buy it. If you don't buy it. We don't make any money if you do or if you don't. So it doesn't matter either way to us. This is just something that we could possibly give back to the community this year that has been so helpful with us, bringing us to over 200 episodes, listening intently every week to our bullshit, and inviting people like this schmuck Ryan and this schmuck Dave back onto the show on a weekly basis because at the moment Rick is indisposed. Really so any parting words, gents, before you leave?
Schmuck.
I'd just like to say you can contact me on my MySpace page.
Not Bebo. Is your Bebo deleted? Did you give me your love today? I'm in your top 15.
Sure it's not OnlyFriends.
OnlyFans.
OnlyFriends? What's OnlyFriends?
it's the one he's on because
OnlyFriends sounds like the really low key version of OnlyFans, where it's just like, look,
exactly.
So I'm not going to do that.
We can talk. The one that's run by Samaritans?
Hey, we were going to do questions. What happened to the live questions? YouTube questions.
I wasn't keeping an eye on things because I've got
we talked shit for 2 hours.
An iPad here.
We did.
No, we talked too much shit for too long, I'm afraid. Live questions maybe for the first episode of the new year. Maybe
Sounds like a plan.
Let's kick the year off.
So I will finish things up an hour late and say thank you very much for anyone that has managed to brave the whole Instagram, YouTube experience of watching 3 drunk people, 2 Scottish, 1 Englishman, dealing with alcohol in a very bad way. Cheers, guys.
I think we
Happy New Year.
Cheers. Happy New Year when it comes, guys.
When it comes to you.
Cheers, chaps.
Yeah, I'm going to have lots of fun spending about 4 days trying to edit this together. But it has been an experience, and thanks very much to Ryan for stepping in while Rick has been busy with Brexit issues and such like. The feedback we've had from listeners is they absolutely love your sense of humour. You have worked phenomenally well, and they don't mind the continual and persistent pushing of your fucking book every opportunity. So
Shit, that completely reminds me. My book is available on all major online outlets.
I'm glad you're not wearing pants because you've just pissed yourself. Let's clean up.
Oh, the fun we've had. The fun we've had. So thanks a lot, guys, for listening to this show. Thanks a lot for all you people in YouTube that are still there, of which...
RJ, I can see... If you could stop liking the
video... Can you click the button? Please, people, stop commenting.
Hello, yes, thank you.
I really like the fact you're commenting, but I really need to see my friend.
The hearts are very lovely.
Listening to me talking forever. So, thank you, guys. This is the end of the shit show called the Scottish Watches Podcast. And next episode is Max Busser and Barbara Plumbo. They will not be drunk. I will not be drunk. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you guys soon. Thanks a lot.